What's going on, guys? Phantasm Mask here, and I'm making this video to announce a few things. First off, there isn't going to be a PWNcast this week. This is due to the fact that Matt and Pat are very busy this week. Pat being out of town and Matt having a lot of schoolwork on his plate to do. That and I've been pretty busy myself. Now, I have gone through some kind of realizations when it comes to gaming for the past few days, and it mostly boils down to the fact that I do not really want to support Microsoft products anymore, so I have decided to take it upon myself to sell my Xbox 360. Now, in so doing, I did get a few goodies out of this, but I kind of wanted to elaborate a little bit since there isn't a PWNcast this week and kind of discuss why I did it. This mostly stems from the fact that I was reading an article about how much it costs to release a patch for a game through Microsoft. Now with Sony, I don't know, it could be something similar. But the deal is that there was this indie game going around, fairly popular one, called Fez. There are some issues with the game, nothing too game-breaking. There are some frame rate issues within the game. It happen at certain points. Also, when you save at certain points, the game will occasionally break. Now, the developers wanted to release a patch for Fez, and contacting Microsoft to find out how much it would take to implement this patch, 10 grand. 10 grand for a couple lines of code. Now, I understand that going into servers and stuff like that and editing a game for every single person that has bought the game probably will cost some money, but 10 grand? Microsoft, what are you smoking? I don't... How can you honestly... The game did not even cost, it probably did not even cost 10 grand to make, let alone since it's an exclusive indie title for the Xbox Live Marketplace, it probably didn't even net 10 grand. You're asking for a patch that, well, you're charging for a patch that's worth more than the game has made? I'm sorry, but you have to draw a line somewhere. And with that, reading that, it was pretty much the final straw in the coffin for me for Xbox Live. There were several other contributing factors as well. And that's the fact that, and I know this is a tired argument, you've probably heard this a lot when it comes to Xbox Live, mostly when you hear the whole Sony versus Microsoft fight. For my current situation, I get more out of paying for a PlayStation Plus membership and getting games weekly that I can play on my PlayStation 3 than paying Microsoft $60 so that way I can play a game that's already on my shelf online with my friends. Also be able to communicate with my friends. And some Microsoft guys may argue, okay, but you also have the added Microsoft security. Bullshit. I will call bullshit on that because Microsoft has been hacked several times. Granted, it wasn't as big as the big Sony hack that happened recently. But you know what? It still happens. Any system can be hacked given the proper amount of time. And people mindlessly... I mean, think of all the people that have Netflix memberships. Alright, you're already paying $10 a month for an instant streaming membership. Then you also have to pay Microsoft $60 a year in order to use your $10 membership on their console, which a lot of people nowadays do buy an Xbox because it has become a great media outlet device. You can get Netflix, Hulu, Crackle, Blip, YouTube. Unfortunately, Internet Explorer's on there now. You are getting countless media outlets. I mean, even Comcast and Verizon Fios, cable providers, are now involved with this. So it's becoming a pretty huge media hub. And that's great. But if you like video games, you get the shaft. $60 a year for the ability that sadly I can do for free if I pay for Sony hardware. I mean, all I have to do is buy the console and get an internet connection. I can play online with people all the time. In fact, I just got done playing a couple matches of Battlefield 3. I don't understand, you know, it's a long time coming is what it is that I'm tired of shelling out money for a service that I really don't get much in return. At least if I choose to pay Sony monthly, I can get something out of it. I think it's like you get $1,500 worth of games from a 12-month membership of PlayStation Plus for $60. Yeah, you know, you don't get to pick what games that you get once a week, but that's the point. Once a week, you get something new. There's something new for me to try. Like, for example, I've never played Darksiders before. And PlayStation Plus is like, oh yeah, Darksiders is free now. Why don't you check it out? Oh, that's pretty cool. So I downloaded Darksiders. Been enjoying it, actually. So that, to me, is just a better system. And I'm not trying to dog on Microsoft too much. What they do best is sadly not gaming related. They're trying to go down the Nintendo route of trying to be a family hub. That's not what I want. I am a gamer. I don't want... If I want to watch Netflix, well, I used to have a Netflix membership, then I don't know. I wouldn't pay an extra $60 a year with my $10 a month membership to Netflix to try to watch it. I'd watch it through my PlayStation 3. And that's another thing, too, is that Microsoft, if I'm paying you $60 a year for your service, I had better not see a single fucking ad on the Xbox Live dashboard. I'm getting sick of this shit. I mean, you'd fire it up on your home screen. The game that you have inserted in the drive is in this little tiny square over here in the corner, and then dead center, ad. Ad for a new game, a countdown to a release of a game. Over here you got an ad, over here you got an ad. Half of the startup screen is advertising. And I'm paying you $60 a month so you can put ads in my face? Are you fucking serious? I mean, I did have a lot of people on Xbox Live that I played with, I think, and, you know, they'll sorely be missed, but I'm sorry, that stuff has got to go. That's why I hope with the release of the next Microsoft console, hopefully they'll remedy these things, but with their current direction, I see it getting a lot worse. And in fact, their live subscription rates may actually go up, surprisingly. And then there was this whole talk where Microsoft was like, yeah, we might start adding free games like PlayStation Plus. Well, they announced that they would consider doing that over a year ago. You know, it's January of 2013, and I haven't seen anything of the sort. Not to mention, I'm starting to like the PlayStation community a lot better. They're not full of a whole bunch of 7-year-olds telling me how they fucked my mother or whatever. It's getting annoying, is what it is. And it's time to grow up, I guess. Then again, people would make the argument, well, if you want to truly grow up, then you can play video games, to which I say, fuck you. There are people that are still playing video games that are 45, 50 years old, and they have high-paying jobs. But anyway, digress, ran over, I'm done. Microsoft, for now, until you get your shit together, I am done with you. I would actually rather go through Nintendo than you, because you're quickly becoming the next Nintendo, trying to cater to kids instead of the people that helped to build your empire. Anyway, speaking of Nintendo, I actually bought a product of theirs, but it's a fairly old product, so you can't really jar me there. I mean, when it comes to handhelds, Nintendo know what they're doing. And this is one of my recent pickups, and that is this glorious Nintendo DS Lite here, which has Mobile Suit Gundam Char's Counterattack scribed on here, and it also has the symbol from Amuro Ray's RX-93 Gundam. Get a nice little close-up of that. It's a nice DS. I really like it. It caught my eye, and it wasn't that expensive. So I decided, hey, why not? I was looking for a Nintendo DS Lite because Pat and Matt of PWNcast have been really busy playing Pokemon through these, and with the announcement of X and Y, and with my eventual purchase of a 3DS, I figured, you know what, why not? I need to get caught up with the series. So I picked up the remake of Pokemon Silver, Pokemon Soul Silver, because it's actually where I stopped with the whole Pokemon craze. And I've been playing through that. It's really good. I've been enjoying it. Other than the markings on this DS right here, the inside of it, just a plain old polar white DS. So, nice stylus, nice engravings on it, pretty freaking sweet. As far as I know, I believe it's a Japanese import. So it came with a limited edition game of Mobile Suit Gundam, of course. With that, I don't actually have the Gundam game, it's just the DS that I wanted. I'm a huge Gundam fan, so the second I saw this, I was like, huh, they decided to commemorate Char's counterattack, one of the best Gundam movies ever. So, I've been playing through Soul Silver for a little while. I've actually had this for about a week and a half, just have failed to mention it on PWNcast or in any other video. So there's that, and there's also another purchase that I made today. When it came to selling my 360, I also decided to pick up a PlayStation Vita. Now, I know what a lot of you are thinking. Why in God's name would you pick one of these things up? They don't sell well. There's not that many games for it. In fact, when I did searches on Amazon for software for this, over half of the pages are Japanese imports. And that, to me, is a huge problem. Sony has been really underselling these, and rightfully so. These things are expensive. They really are. 200. I think they're still riding at 250 bucks. 200, I think, if you're lucky. And it was a bit of a difficult choice for me. Either hang on to my 360 or get the latest handheld, which going from other handhelds that I've had before. I had a PSP for a very short while. Sadly, when I received it, it was secondhand, and it was mostly, I don't want this PSP. You can have it if you want it. By the way, the analog stick over here is broke. That's the way my first experience with the PSP 1000 model was. After that, after it finally broke and the analog stick was pretty much making any game unplayable, it essentially became, oh, this is a nice mobile browser device, because I didn't have things like an iPod or a smartphone. Hell, I still don't even have a smartphone, to be quite honest. It became a mobile internet device. Oh, look, free Wi-Fi. I'll leech and check my Facebook or something, or I don't know. At the time, Twitter really hadn't blown up yet. This is probably 2008 that I'm talking about this. Actually, 2007 when I acquired that PSP. So I figured, why not go with Sony's next step up, and that'd be the PlayStation Vita. Now, I do have a few problems with the Vita so far. Nothing wrong with the system itself. I mean, so far, I've booted it up. It's got a nice training game module which teaches you the ins and outs of the Vita, which I have to commend Sony on. A great way to get people acclimated to your hardware is definitely to make a game out of it that teaches you all the features, such as these nice little touchpads back here, which are a bit iffy. Not really too big on those yet. I'll have to play something like the Uncharted game for the Vita to get a little bit more used to the touchpad. Also, the fact that now it has two analog sticks, really nice. One of my biggest complaints about the PlayStation Portable was the lack of a second analog stick. They have since remedied that by adding the second one over here and making the buttons slightly smaller, but not small to the point of, oh my god, I can't even hit these, I don't know where I'm going. Also, a camera on the back, and it also includes a camera. See if I can put this up against the camera here. Right there by the buttons. A strange placement, but otherwise, yeah, it's mostly used for Skype, which this thing can do. And this is also a 3G model, which means that you can buy a plan through AT&T if you so wish to go on the internet wherever you may be. Personally, I have no interest in getting a 3G plan for a PlayStation Vita, but nonetheless, that option is there if I so choose to use it. Probably my biggest gripe about the Vita is the lack of any onboard memory whatsoever. I did buy this like new. I inspected it first. I looked at it. No blemishes. I mean, the only thing it really needed to do was the fact that it was a touch screen, and it just needed to be cleaned off. That's going to happen with any touch screen device that you have. It's going to show fingerprints. Other than that, it was great. Booted it up. Software worked just fine. I would have really liked to have gotten a white one, but in the end, it's just a cosmetic thing. The memory. No onboard memory whatsoever. You have to buy a proprietary memory stick for the Vita. Now, I want to have a nice little chat about Sony with proprietary hardware. It would have been great if I could have used the PSP memory stick duos with this thing. I knew people that had PSP memory sticks that were just huge. I would have liked to have at least had some form of onboard memory here, so that way I could at least, put Facebook or something on this, because until I buy a memory card, which I intend to do the next day after this, probably after this is put up, then I'm going to download the software that I want. Now, the big advantage to this, and one of the primary reasons why I bought it, is I can take PlayStation 1 games on the go. Granted, that library is still growing, but they still have some heavy hitters out there. Every single Final Fantasy game, save for Final Fantasy V and 10 onwards, can be played on the PlayStation Vita. That is fantastic. I love that so much. Except for the fact that they don't have my favorite Final Fantasy playable. Well, actually, and I think, okay, at first I thought 4 wasn't there, but there's a PSP port of Final Fantasy 4, which I can download for $20. But anyway, it's a big reason I can play Metal Gear Solid 1 on the go. I can play Resident Evil, I think. I think I could play the Resident Evil games on there. If not, I'll have to check into that. But there's a whole slew of PS1 games that I have on my PlayStation 3 that I can take with me on the go now. As far as battery life goes, reasonable time to recharge. This thing was just about dead when I booted it up. Took maybe about 2.5 hours to fully charge. Not that bad. And I've been toying around with it for probably about the past hour and a half. I don't even think the battery's dropped 10% yet. So it's got a very good battery life, especially for something that it's very big in the graphics in the games, processing power, very demanding. So I'm really glad to have one of these. The only thing I can say is, Sony, you need to do something about this. The 3DS is kicking your ass. You need to give somebody an incentive to buy these. A price drop, more software. Start bringing that software that's in Japan over here. I mean, it's so bad that you see all of these games listed on Amazon, but next to it you see Asia Pacific or Japan import. Really bad, and sadly, I don't want to see the Vita go, because I'm really intrigued by it. And Sony just needs to get their act together. But then again, that's nothing new. They've had to get their act. They need to have a boot shoved somewhere. I mean, that's just how long it's been since they've actually done something remotely right. So, with that, I'm really proud to have a Vita, and I'm also really proud to have a DS Lite with badass Gundam on it. So, I'll be able to, I guess, review Vita games now, talk about the Vita on the podcast now that I have this readily accessible. And as far as a 3DS goes, I'm still waiting on a more limited edition version. Hopefully, I have my fingers crossed for the longest time of a Majora's Mask 3DS adaptation. And when that happens, I think that Majora's Mask has enough of a following that it'll probably get its own limited edition 3DS. Probably pick up one of those when the King finally drops. As for that, again, no PWNcast this week. Been trying to get more parts of Majora's Mask uploaded, but again, that requires Pat and Matt for that. We are getting close. I think we have filmed all the way up to doing Ikana Canyon. So, stay tuned for that. I'll also be uploading some Ocarina of Time and some other Super Nintendo games, maybe even some Game Boy games for that matter. Be uploading those to the channel. Ocarina of Time will not have any commentary, though, because I'm trying to speed through that because it's a bit longer than Majora's Mask. So with all of that, thank you guys for watching. Phantasm Mask here, signing out.